This is Kits and Wagers, where we wear kits and discuss betting on football, aka soccer. I am Adam Zdroik, joined with Chris Owen. We are both writers at RotoWire. Chris, welcome to the show, and tell us about your kit.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I'm wearing a Borussia Dortmund top here. Great game yesterday in the Champions League. I am becoming more and more enamored by Jude Bellingham. Like, he's one of the best midfielders out there, and I can't wait to see how he progresses this season. And the rest of the team at Dortmund is just like so fun to watch. So that's what I'm rocking today. And what do you got going on over there?
Yeah, I just want to say Jude Bellingham, who will be on Bayern Munich in 12 to 24 months, we can say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I got a Aston Villa top here. Got Acorns. This is an old Gabby Igbanlahor jersey. So bringing it back. I guess all my jerseys are kind of, 10 to 20 years old, but yeah. So the legendary Igbanlahor days. I think he played with Emil Heskey. Ashley Young was on those teams.
Oh, yeah.
So those classic Villa teams, and I'm kind of relating this Villa jersey with my best bet that we're gonna have coming up later. So
nice teaser.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take it. We'll see if I change my mind here in the next few minutes.
And that jersey's like a fine wine. It only gets better.
Yeah, I mean, it says Acorns on it, so it's definitely.
Yeah, I don't even know what that company is or sponsor, but
it might have been like some investment thing, or
it's either an insurance company or like a financial investment company. Let's be real.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so last week, what did we get wrong? What did we get right? Well, I think what you got wrong, you took another away team to win, so that's wrong.
Yeah. Kind of rough week for me last week, but we're back to it this week. Regardless of what happens, I believe that I had West Ham to. I was looking at a couple overs, that's for sure.
Yeah, West Ham at Newcastle is that game you're looking at?
Yeah, West Ham at Southampton, I believe it was. I had West Ham at plus 145, I want to say. And then
yes, West Hampton. That's correct. You're right.
Yeah, West Hampton is not quite. Yeah. Regardless, I had them, didn't quite get that right, and so maybe a lesson learned potentially. And then I was looking at the over of 3.5 goals plus one was at plus 170 after they had both just conceded 4 goals and five of their. So West Ham conceded or scored. There was 4 goals in each of West Ham's past 3 matches. There was 4 goals in 2 of Southampton's past 3 matches. So I said to myself, that seems like a trend. Maybe that's something to take a look at, and it didn't quite work out. And then I was looking at Leicester Man City, kind of in the idea that Scott Carson might play a little goalkeeper. That didn't end up happening, and the match ended in 1-0. I was looking at some of the overs, and that didn't quite work out. So, lessons learned here early on in the season, and we're going to look to improve upon that.
Yeah, for Southampton, maybe something to think about in coming weeks. But their 2 home matches, they've had 2 goals total. The other one was the 1-1 draw against Man United. So maybe they're trying to play more defensive at home, that kind of thing. So definitely something to put away until they're home again. But yeah, but for speaking about these home teams, betting on away teams, I kind of want to touch on a little bit just what teams are actually comfortable betting against at home. For mainly this upcoming weekend here, we have on Sunday, I believe it is Chelsea at Tottenham. It's definitely one I was looking at. So you got Chelsea as a minus 125 favorite. I think the main thing is you have the Tottenham back line. I think they're going to have Davinson Sanchez and Christian Romero back. I think they're both still in Croatia right now because they had to quarantine after playing over the international break. I mean, if those guys aren't going to play, it's a completely different situation. But just imagine Tottenham, they're full strength in their back line. I think Son Heung-min's probably not going to play again. But given Chelsea, both teams playing midweek, how comfortable are we taking like a number at -125 against a team like Tottenham?
I'm not super comfortable taking Tottenham just because Chelsea away. Tottenham has looked really strong this year. The only time where they've really struggled here was last match week when they lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace, but they picked up that red card in the 58th minute. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all 3 goals came after that. So, it's tough. Chelsea's been so strong, and they've been, one of the best defensive sides, at least in the Premier League, and that they were also, again, impressive this week in the Champions League. Well, they just won 1-0. Was that away as well? But so, I mean, unrelated, but still. So, yeah, I'm not super confident in taking Chelsea away. I think Tottenham's been strong enough, and I'm going to get into this shortly about the goals and whatnot, but both teams are just so strong defensively that it could go either way, but I don't feel super confident in that.
Yeah, I think something like that you kind of want to look at because these teams haven't, like Tottenham have a new manager, but I was looking at I guess the only time I think they played Wolves against Chelsea last season, Nuno Santo and Thomas Tuchel with Chelsea. It was a scoreless draw. And I think that's just kind of the way that Tottenham are going to want to play this match. Like they know, like if Son Heung-min's not playing, they know they're at a deficiency there, and they got the issues on the back line and everything. So I definitely think Tottenham's going to take that defensive approach and probably try and go for another scoreless draw. I mean, it's probably not what the fans want, but it's probably if you can get a point against Chelsea, I think that's kind of good enough for Tottenham.
But I agree.
Yeah, just getting into this weekend, we got the standalone Friday match here. I know you wanted to discuss the over a little bit. What do you think about Newcastle against Leeds?
Yeah, so I was just looking at this, but Newcastle and Leeds, if you've watched any of the matches over the first 4 game weeks, the goals have just been pouring in. So both teams at the bottom of the table in terms of goals against. Newcastle have conceded 12 goals, while Leeds have conceded 11. The only team who's close to that is Norwich, who has conceded 11 goals. So for me, that's just a sign to maybe take a peek at the goals, the overs. Over 2.5 goals is -155. Over 3.5 goals is +155. And if you really want to get crazy, over 4.5 is +340. So I think somewhere in that sweet spot might be that over 3.5 +155, or even the over 2.5. Just because of when you look at both defenses, they have not been able to stop many attacks. And Leeds is a solid attack. They haven't really shown how well they played last year, but I would just consider that over just because of how many goals have been coming in from both sides.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's apparently FanDuel has the best odds here if you're looking at taking some of the overs here. If you're looking at the screen, but you got minus over 2.5. They have -148, over 3.5, +166. But yeah, I definitely agree. The Leeds back line has basically been a problem since the preseason. They kind of just haven't figured things out, and I'm still buying into that. I did just release my article on rotowire.com. I talked about the match pretty in depth. One thing that stood out to me, we talked about the goal bans last week. This was at DraftKings. I found it, but you can take a goal ban between 3 and 5 goals, and you're getting +100 odds. So if there's 3 or 4 or 5 goals scored in the match, you're getting plus odds, which is pretty good considering. Yeah. Like the over is about -1. The over 2.5 is about -150. So you're basically taking that down to +100 and hoping there's not 6, 7, or 8 goals or something. which I mean is definitely possible. But I think the getting that range is definitely something I'll probably check out myself.
And if we get 6, 7, 8 goals, then that's just worth the price of admission, you know?
Yeah, yeah, as long as Rafinha gets something, I'll say.
Yeah, just for the sake of season-long purposes.
Yeah. All right, so getting into the rest of the weekend here. What do we got? What's your best bet for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna go quickly before I go over my best bet. I know we talked about the
Yeah.
Tottenham Chelsea game earlier, and I wanted to get back into that, but similar to this Newcastle Leeds game, I'm gonna go the opposite direction here. Tottenham and Chelsea have been super tight at the back, and I mentioned that Tottenham have conceded well, they conceded 3 goals in their last game. Well, those are the only goals that they've conceded so far this season. They're playing a man down. Specifically without a defender. And so they've been super tight at the back. Nuno's got them playing a pretty good brand defensively. And then Chelsea, who I also mentioned have been so well drilled at the back. They have conceded just the 1 goal. And similar to Tottenham, that 1 goal came when they were playing down a man to Liverpool. And that was from the penalty spot. So they have yet to concede a goal from open play. They just kept a clean sheet in the Champions League. So between the two teams, over accumulated 8 games, they've conceded 4 goals. So taking a look at that, the under, if you potentially think that it could be a 0-0 draw, the under 1.5 is plus 320. I'm not sure what the under half is. I had to take a peek at that, but specifically the under 1.5 in case somebody wins 1-0 is plus 320, under 2.5 is plus 125, and the under 3.5, which is not super intriguing, but that's minus 195. So something to really consider, as both teams have played like a super good defensively. And then I'm going to get into my best bet here, and again, looking at some of the weaker sides playing each other in the Premier League here, we have a booming matchup of Norwich City and Watford here. Norwich have lost their last 14 Premier League matches, which, obviously going back from not just this season, but their previous season when they're in the Premier League. So 2 seasons ago, they've lost 14 straight matches, which is not a stat you want to be associated with. And Watford have beaten Norwich in the last 4 meetings across all competition, which I thought was kind of interesting. So you can get Watford to draw, or you can get the draw at plus 240. But if you really think Watford's going to play strongly here, I like Watford at plus 235. Just because Norwich have been so poor. They, despite like dominating the championship, coming back up, they just can't seem to really figure it out in the Premier League. So Watford, they've got to win under their belt, the one that they got early on in the season. I think they could play well enough to go plus 235. If you don't like them to win, look at the draw at plus 240. So that's my best bet. And then a fun one here that might be interesting is Norwich Watford. You can get a 0-0 draw at plus 500 odds. Norwich haven't scored in 7 of their last 8 Premier League matches, while Watford have not scored in 6 of their last 8 away Premier League matches. So 2 teams who have struggled to score. Norwich, whether it's home or away, and then Watford away. So that's my best bet is Watford to win at plus 235.
Yeah, I'm definitely into that one. Again, my article coming out, my full Gameweek article coming out probably today or tomorrow. Touches on that one. I do like Watford to win. It almost feels like kind of a trap being that big of an underdog. Yeah. But it's just because, this is one of the best chances for Norwich, to get a win or to get some points home against another promoted side. So they're definitely going to be pushing a lot in this one. So that will definitely be interesting. But like you said, Watford have won the last 4, and that's going back to Championship, going back to Premier League 2 years ago. If you wanted to play it a little safer and you didn't like it was about minus 140 for the winner draw for Watford, there's a thing called draw no bet where you can take, if you wanted that on Watford, that would mean if they win, Seeing here right here, you can at FanDuel they have a plus 146 odds on that. So if Watford win, you win your bet. If it's a draw, then you just get your money back. So it's a little safer, and you're kind of losing a few bucks there if Watford win instead of just taking the money line. But it just kind of depends, how safe of a gambler you are, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And then I guess just going back to your Chelsea Tottenham game, was the under, saying the under 3.5 goals. For something like that, I usually just, if you like bets, you're liking the under on something, and maybe the odds aren't good enough on under 2.5 or something, and you don't want to take it by itself. Sometimes I wouldn't be afraid to put that in a parlay. I know, parlays are tricky things, and they exist for a reason. That's to lose money. But just if we're just talking these last two games, you could take under 3.5, whatever those odds were, minus 200 or something like that, and then take the draw no bet with Watford at plus 146, or even the winner or draw with Watford at minus 140, and then you're into plus odds right there off of two games, off of two things you like. So definitely something to consider if you're into parlays. What are your thoughts on taking parlays in general, I guess, and what are your thoughts on that parlay?
Yeah, maybe it's because I've got a small brain, but it's the parlays get a little trickier here, and I'd really have to feel strongly about two or even three different bets to feel like I should get into that. Definitely not opposed, especially if you get yourself into plus odds. But I'm for at this point, I'm pretty much just like sticking to just standalone bets.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Pretty much ever since I started, putting money down on games, I've always just been, parlay. You can whatever put these things together. Yeah. And it was this past Tuesday, I got a little overzealous. I put a bunch of things together for Champions League. It came out to like plus 1,800 odds or something. I had a few draws, and then one of them was whoever played on Tuesday. I had a draw set for the Tuesday game, and so I hit on 4 of the ones that were in the parlay, and I lost on.
You take Man United?
No, it was. Oh, I bet against Juventus. So I took Malmo and Juventus draw. I hit on 3 other draws in this bet, and Chelsea to win, and then I completely blew up on the Malmo one. A little too overconfident in that. Probably after watching Manchester United lose their away match to Young Boys. So, but anyways, getting back to Premier League here. So I'm gonna going back. I got Aston Villa here. I kind of like this over 2.5 goals here in this match. So we're getting pretty even odds, yet minus 105 at most places. This kind of feels, I don't know, I guess a lot of bets on this slate kind of feel like traps, but this one kind of feels like a trap. It's even odds. Everton, they have these high scoring matches. They were just 3-1 against, a defensive team like Burnley. The games these teams played last year were pretty, I wouldn't say defensive, but there just wasn't a ton of goals in them. Obviously, that was with Ancelotti leading Everton. But I just think the way Everton play, it's just allowing for goals. And that's something I'm going to continue to look at if we're getting these odds, if you're getting about even odds at over 2.5 goals. So way Everton play, they don't really want to hang on to the ball. They want to play off the counter. And I think that kind of plays into, Villa's counterattacking as well. It's kind of the same last week as Burnley. Villa's probably going to win the possession battle in this match. But if you look at their last week game, they played Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings at the same time. First time ever that happened. It wasn't a great result. They lost 3-0. But again, they played at Chelsea. I think the main thing I want to take away from that match is they actually, they're pretty competitive. If you're watching any of that game, like Villa had their opportunities. If you look at the corner battle, they won that 11-4. They actually had more expected goals than Chelsea in that game. They had 18 shots. And sure, that part of that was because, game script, Chelsea got the early goal in the 15th minute and were leading most of the way. But I mean, that is still a team like Chelsea. So put that into a team against Everton. I just think if one of these teams, gets a first half goal or gets a goal, it's just going to be up and down, up and down. You're just going to see a ton of opportunities. I just don't think this is a game where you're going back to the Chelsea-Tottenham game. Like if one of those teams gets one goal, I think it's going to finish 1-0. Just how they play. You got the solid back lines. Those teams know how to hold on to leads. Whereas Villa and Everton, I don't think Everton know how to hold on to a lead. I don't think Villa know how to hold on to a lead, really. So I just think there's going to be goals in that game. And, I mean, just the hope is it doesn't turn out like what happened with you last week. Neither team gets a goal and, it just sits a scoreless draw. But going with over 2.5, getting even odds on that. So any thoughts on that match?
Yeah, definitely besides now that I have so much investment in the Norwich City Watford match, that's Everton Aston Villa is probably what I expect to be the most entertaining game, and for all those reasons you just mentioned. So I definitely think you're on the right track there, and would be interested in it as well. Just from a standalone fact that it should be a solid match, and it's the late one too. So if you want a little bit of extra interest in that match, that's a good way to go.
Yeah, definitely later in the day, and these guys are sitting around a little bit longer for this late night match, so maybe that adds to the adrenaline a little bit. Otherwise, another game I almost was considering. So you got Burnley at home against Arsenal. With the way Arsenal play, I don't know why they're a plus 100 favorite in this spot. I know Burnley haven't really done anything. But I think last season, I want to say the two matches were both of them were 1-0 maybe, and Burnley may have won both of them. I don't know. So something I'd look at. Burnley win draw, the under 2.5 in that game is definitely something I'd be looking at. Also, if we want to get back to the parlay I was talking, Liverpool and Manchester City, combine those. If you take both of them by 1.5 goals against Crystal Palace and Southampton, respectively, that's another decent place to look. Anything else to stand out to you for the weekend?
Not that I can think of. That's pretty much covered what I'm most interested with that. Those under goals for Tottenham, Chelsea, and then the over goals with Newcastle and Leeds, and then for whatever reason, I have a good hankering for some Norwich City Watford on Saturday.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say that you're going to bet Burnley to win and then take Arteta to be fired after that.
Yeah, no, we can keep that theme going all day.
All right, well, this has been not Wits. We are wearing kits. This is Kits and Wagers. All right. Thanks for joining me, Chris. Make sure to subscribe and like wherever you listen. Again, the YouTube RotoWire Soccer channel. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Cheers, y'all.
Yep.